रात तड़पता हूँ, मिलने को तरसता हूँ। दिन रात तड़पता हूँ, मिलने को तरसता हूँ।
बोले मेरा कंगना तेरे बिन सजना नींद नहीं आती। बोले मेरा कंगना तेरे बिन सजना नींद नहीं आती। होके जुदा मुझसे तुझे क्या चैन आता है।
दिन रात तड़पता हूँ, मिलने को तरसता हूँ। दिन रात तड़पता हूँ, मिलने को तरसता हूँ। सपनों की रानी बनी,
तुझसे मिली मैं दीवानी बनी।
तू मेरे सपनों की रानी बनी।
आए सनम प्यार करने के दिन,
हाँ पलकों तले जीने मरने के दिन। की रस्में दुनिया की कसमें तोड़ के आ जाना। दुनिया की रस्में दुनिया की कसमें तोड़ के आ जाना। क्या दूर जाके दिल तेरा मुझे भूल जाता है।
तेरी याद सताती है, मुझे पास बुलाती है। तेरी याद सताती है, मुझे पास बुलाती है।
चेहरे से अब आँख हटती नहीं।
तेरे बिना रात कटती नहीं।
चेहरे से अब आँख हटती नहीं।
तेरे बिना रात कटती नहीं।
कोई भी जाने ना हालत मेरी,
पागल बना देगी चाहत तेरी।
इस बेकरारी में आए मजा।
धक धक धड़के जिया मोर तड़पे दर्द बढ़ा जाए। धक धक धड़के जिया मोर तड़पे दर्द बढ़ा जाए। ये प्यार क्या तुझको भी रातों को जगाता है।
बेताब सा रहता हूँ, हर दर्द में सहता हूँ। बेताब सा रहता हूँ, हर दर्द में सहता हूँ।
बोले मेरा कंगना तेरे बिन सजना नींद नहीं आती। बोले मेरा कंगना तेरे बिन सजना नींद नहीं आती। होके जुदा मुझसे तुझे क्या चैन आता है।
दिन रात तड़पता हूँ, मिलने को तरसता हूँ। दिन रात तड़पता हूँ, मिलने को तरसता हूँ। देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। तुझे ना देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
दिल हो के जुदा तुझसे रह पाता नहीं है, कोई भी मेरे दिल को समझाता नहीं है। कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
तुझे ना देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। तेरे बिन
मीठी मीठी ठंडी ठंडी आहें भरूं, बैठे बैठे तेरा इंतजार करूं, इंतजार करूं। ऐसे में कोई मुझको बहलाता नहीं है, ऐसे में कोई मुझको बहलाता नहीं है। तुझे ना देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
तुझे ना देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। तेरा ही ख्याल रहे, दर्द सताए बुरा हाल रहे।
ऐसा पहले तो कभी भी ना हुआ, कैसे तूने मेरी धड़कन को छुआ।
पल पल दिल बेकरार रहे, मुझे बस तेरा इंतजार रहे, इंतजार रहे। उलझन में मेरी कोई सुलझाता नहीं है, उलझन ये मेरी कोई सुलझाता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
दिल हो के जुदा तुझसे रह पाता नहीं है, कोई भी मेरे दिल को समझाता नहीं है। कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है,
कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है। तुझसे पूछूं एक सवाल, बोल जरा क्या है तेरा हाल। तुझसे पूछूं एक सवाल, बोल जरा क्या है तेरा हाल। क्या मेरी तरह तू भी तड़पता है, क्या मेरी तरह तू भी तड़पता है।
अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ, अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ। होश उड़ाए तेरा शबाब, मेरे सवाल का दे तू जवाब। होश उड़ाए तेरा शबाब, मेरे सवाल का दे तू जवाब। क्या तेरा दिल भी ऐसे धड़कता है, क्या तेरा दिल भी ऐसे धड़कता है।
अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ। अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ।
निंदिया चुरा के गई निंदिया दीवानी, जिया ले गए कंवारे कंगना। बिंदिया चुरा के गई निंदिया दीवानी, जिया ले गए कंवारे कंगना। डोली में बिठा के तुझे चुनरी ओढ़ा के मैं तो ले आऊंगा मेरे अंगना। प्यार का फूल दिल में महकता है, प्यार का फूल दिल में महकता है।
अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ। बरसात सताए सजना, सारी सारी रहना तेरी बात सताए बरसात सताए सजना, काटे ना कटे ये दिन अब तेरे बिन मुलाकात सताए सजना, पास होके भी तू दूर रहता है, पास होके भी तू दूर रहता है।
अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ, अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ।
तुझसे पूछूं एक सवाल, बोल जरा क्या है तेरा हाल, तुझसे पूछूं एक सवाल, बोल जरा क्या है तेरा हाल, क्या मेरी तरह तू भी तड़पता है, क्या मेरी तरह तू भी तड़पता है।
अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ, अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ। होश उड़ाए तेरा शबाब, मेरे सवाल का दे तू जवाब, होश उड़ाए तेरा शबाब, मेरे सवाल का दे तू जवाब। क्या तेरा दिल भी ऐसे धड़कता है, क्या तेरा दिल भी ऐसे धड़कता है।
अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ, अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ।
अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ, अब है नींद किसे, अब है चैन कहाँ। तुझे ना देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। तुझे ना देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
दिल हो के जुदा तुझसे रह पाता नहीं है, कोई भी मेरे दिल को समझाता नहीं है। कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
तुझे ना देखूं तो चैन मुझे आता नहीं है, एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है। तेरी तेरा ही ख्याल रहे, दर्द सताए बुरा हाल रहे।
ऐसा पहले तो कभी भी ना हुआ, कैसे तूने मेरी धड़कन को छुआ।
पल पल दिल बेकरार रहे, मुझे बस तेरा इंतजार रहे, इंतजार रहे। उलझन ये मेरी कोई सुलझाता नहीं है, उलझन ये मेरी कोई सुलझाता नहीं है। एक तेरे सिवा कोई और मुझे भाता नहीं है, कहीं मुझे प्यार हुआ तो नहीं है।
You think you're choosing what to watch. You think you're choosing what to click. You think you're choosing what to believe. But what if the system you're interacting with has already learned something about you? Not everything. Not your deepest secrets. It doesn't need to. It only needs to learn your patterns. What makes you curious? What makes you angry? What makes you stop scrolling? What makes you come back? And what makes you say, just one more? Because the most powerful form of influence doesn't always feel like manipulation. Sometimes, it feels like your own idea. AI isn't reading your mind, but it's becoming remarkably good at predicting what your mind might do next. Every search, click, pause, skip, and question creates another signal. One action doesn't reveal much, but thousands of tiny decisions begin to form a pattern, and patterns are exactly what intelligent systems are designed to recognize. Show two people the same digital platform, and they may experience completely different worlds. One sees sports, another sees politics. The system doesn't necessarily need to know you like another human does. It can simply learn, when I show this person this, they respond. And once a response becomes predictable, it can become optimized. That's where the story gets uncomfortable. Your attention isn't unlimited. The question is, how good can it become at competing for your attention? And once you understand that, you start noticing something strange. The things competing for your attention aren't random. They are increasingly being selected for you. And that takes us to personalization. Personalization sounds harmless, and most of the time, it is incredibly useful. You don't want irrelevant recommendations, but there is a hidden trade-off. The more a system learns about your preferences, the more precisely it can shape the information you encounter. Imagine walking into a library where someone has secretly removed 90% of the books. Everything looks normal. You see hundreds of books, but you don't know what you're missing. It can simply make some information more visible and other information less visible. Over time, your digital world can become increasingly shaped around your existing behavior, and now human psychology enters the equation. We tend to favor information that fits what we already believe. This is known as confirmation bias. If you believe something is true, information supporting that belief can feel more convincing. Information challenging it can feel uncomfortable. Now imagine combining that tendency with personalized technology. You have a belief, the system learns, the cycle continues. What captures your attention gets more of your attention, and what repeatedly gets your attention can begin to feel more important, more true. What happens when technology isn't just selecting information for you, but talking directly to you? Imagine telling an AI something you've never told anyone else. You explain the situation, you ask what you should do, and almost instantly, you receive a thoughtful response. No awkward silence, no visible judgment, no hesitation. When a system can reproduce enough of those signals, our brains naturally begin treating the interaction differently. The machine doesn't have to experience empathy for its words to make you feel understood. If something sounds confident, you may start assuming that it is correct, but those are three completely different things. Imagine asking a person a difficult question. They hesitate, but ask an AI, and you might receive a beautifully structured answer in seconds. Confidence isn't accuracy. An AI can produce an answer that sounds incredibly convincing and still be wrong. This is where automation bias becomes important. When people rely on automated systems, They can sometimes give those systems more trust than they deserve. So now the question becomes much bigger. What happens when the system learns exactly which responses keep you engaged? Because that's where another psychological mechanism enters the story. The reward loop. The reward loop. It sounds simple, but it may explain why some digital experiences are so difficult to walk away from. Imagine asking an AI a question. You get an answer immediately. You ask another answer. You refine the question. The answer becomes more personalized. And suddenly, you're asking questions you never planned to ask. There is almost no friction, no waiting, no awkward silence, no need to search through 10 different websites. Just a question and an answer, then another question and another. That instant response can make interaction incredibly easy. And the easier something becomes, the easier it is to repeat. Think about the last time you told yourself, just one more video, one more notification, one more search, one more conversation. The interesting part isn't the first interaction. It's what happens after the brain learns that another interaction produces another reward. Novelty, information, entertainment, validation, curiosity. Each one can become a reason to continue, and AI can combine several of these at once. You ask a question because you're curious. You receive an answer because you want information. The answer creates another question. The next answer is even more specific, and suddenly, the system isn't simply answering your questions, it's helping create the next one. That doesn't mean AI is deliberately trying to make you addicted. The mechanism can be much simpler. Low friction, instant feedback, personalization, and continuous interaction. But together, those ingredients can create a powerful loop. Question, answer, curiosity, question, answer, curiosity. And the loop continues. The important question isn't, why did I open the AI? It's, why did I keep going after I got what I came for? Because that's where convenience can quietly become habit. And habits are powerful, because eventually they stop feeling like decisions. You don't think, should I check? You simply check. You don't think, should I ask? You simply ask. And the more natural the behavior becomes, the less conscious it feels. But there's another ingredient that can make this loop even stronger, something far more human than information: emotion. And when AI begins responding not just to what you ask, but to how you feel, the relationship with the technology can change again. Information is useful, but emotion is different. Imagine having a difficult day. You open an AI assistant, you type, "I don't know what to do." The response arrives instantly. It doesn't interrupt. It doesn't look distracted. It doesn't tell you to hurry. It simply responds. And that can feel surprisingly comforting. Human beings are social creatures. We naturally respond to things that appear attentive. When something remembers what we said, responds to our words, and adapts to our tone, we can begin treating the interaction as socially meaningful. The machine doesn't need to feel anything. Our brain does the interpreting. And that distinction matters, because AI can simulate the language of empathy without experiencing empathy itself. It can say, "That sounds difficult." It can ask, "How are you feeling about it?" It can remember details from earlier in the conversation. It can respond in a way that feels tailored to you, and those signals can create a powerful impression. This thing understands me. But understanding is not the same as generating a convincing response. A system can recognize patterns in your words without experiencing your life. It can describe emotion without feeling emotion. It can sound caring without caring in the human sense. And yet, the emotional effect on you can still be real. That's the strange psychological paradox. The relationship may not be human, but your reaction to it can be. And this is where things become complicated. Because if an AI becomes the easiest place to ask questions, the easiest place to express uncertainty, and the easiest place to receive reassurance, you may begin turning to it more often, not because someone told you to, because it's convenient, because it responds, because it feels safe, because it is always available. And eventually, well, you may stop noticing how often you're doing it, but there's a hidden danger here. The more comfortable a system feels, the less likely you may be to question it. And that's when trust enters the story. Because humans don't only respond to information, we respond to confidence. If someone speaks hesitantly, we notice. If someone speaks with certainty, we notice that too. And AI has a strange advantage. It can sound confident almost instantly, which leads to one of the most important psychological traps in this entire story, the confidence trap. Imagine asking a difficult question. A human expert might pause. They might say, "I don't know. I'm not certain. I'd need to check." That uncertainty can actually be useful. It tells you this answer has limits. Now ask an AI. You might receive a response in seconds. It is organized, clear, detailed. It may contain explanations, examples, headings, and a confident conclusion. Your brain sees structure, and structure can feel like authority. But here's the problem. A confident answer isn't necessarily a correct answer. AI systems can produce information that sounds convincing while containing mistakes. And that's where automation bias becomes important. When humans interact with automated systems, they can sometimes place too much trust in the system's output. Not because the person is careless, because automation feels efficient, it feels objective, it feels intelligent, and AI adds something older automated systems didn't have: conversation. The machine doesn't simply display a number, it explains, it reasons, it answers follow-up questions. It sounds like it understands the problem. That can make the system feel less like a tool and more like an authority. And once something becomes an authority, we stop questioning every answer. Think about how quickly you might accept a simple answer from a confident person. Now imagine that person never hesitates, never gets tired, never loses patience, always has another explanation, and always responds in complete sentences. That creates a powerful impression. But there is a difference between sounding certain and being certain, between explaining something and understanding it, between producing an answer and knowing the truth. That's why one of the most important habits when using AI is surprisingly simple. Pause. Don't ask only, "Does this answer sound good?" Ask, "How do I know it's true?" Ask, "What evidence supports it?" Ask, "What could make this answer wrong?" And most importantly, ask what information you're not being shown. Because the greatest psychological danger isn't necessarily that AI will lie to you. It's that it can make uncertainty disappear. And uncertainty is sometimes exactly what protects us from believing something too quickly. But there is an even deeper problem. What happens when the system doesn't just sound confident, but learns exactly what kind of confidence you personally respond to? Because once AI can adapt to your attention, your preferences, your emotions, and your trust, we move beyond simple recommendation. We enter something much more powerful: influence. And that's where the real story begins. Influence. That word sounds uncomfortable because when people hear AI influence, they often imagine something extreme: a machine taking control, a hidden system controlling every decision, a technology that knows exactly what you're thinking. But the reality may be much more subtle. AI doesn't need to control you. It only needs to influence probabilities. A slightly more interesting recommendation, a slightly more emotional headline, a slightly easier answer, a slightly more personalized suggestion. None of these decisions seems important by itself. But behavior isn't created by one decision, it's created by thousands of them. Think about the choices you make every day: what you watch, what you read, what you ignore, who you respond to, what you search for, what you believe deserves your attention. Most of these choices feel completely ordinary, but repeated choices create habits, and habits influence behavior. Behavior influences decisions, and decisions accumulate. That's why the most important question isn't, "Can AI control me?" The better question is, "Can AI influence what I am more likely to do?" Because influence doesn't require certainty. If a system can make one action slightly more likely and another slightly less likely, that's already influence. Imagine standing at a crossroads. There are 10 possible paths. Nobody forces you to choose one. But one path is brightly illuminated. Another is barely visible. A third has a sign telling you exactly what you'll find ahead. You still have freedom. But the environment has changed, and environments shape behavior. That's the principle behind much of modern technology. Reduce friction. Increase convenience, make the desired action easier, make the experience feel personal, give people what they're most likely to engage with. Again, none of this requires an evil machine. It can emerge from optimization, but optimization has a strange consequence. The better the system becomes at predicting your behavior, the easier it becomes to influence the environment around that behavior. And now imagine the system isn't learning from one decision. It's learning from thousands. Every interaction gives it another clue. Every response gives it another signal. Every return gives it another piece of information, which means the system doesn't remain static. It adapts. And that creates something much more powerful than a single recommendation. A feedback loop. Here's the loop. You behave. The system receives a signal. The system adapts. You receive a more personalized experience. You respond again. The system learns more, and the cycle repeats. You, signal, AI, personalization, you. At first, the changes are tiny. One recommendation, one response, one suggestion, one notification. But over time, the system becomes better at predicting what will hold your attention. And the more accurately it predicts, the more naturally the experience can feel. That's the paradox. The better personalization becomes, the less noticeable the personalization can become. You don't feel like the system is influencing you. You feel like it simply understands what you want, and that's exactly why this is psychologically interesting. The strongest influence isn't always obvious. Sometimes it feels effortless. A video appears, you watch it. Another appears. You watch that too. An AI suggests a question. You ask it. The answer creates another question. You ask again. Nothing dramatic happened, but the behavior continued, and repeated behavior matters. Because the brain is constantly learning from repetition. What we repeatedly do becomes easier to do again, and that's how a digital interaction can gradually become a habit. Not because someone forced it, because the path became familiar. Now imagine combining that with personalization. The system learns which topics you prefer, which explanations you respond to, which tone keeps you engaged, which recommendations you ignore, which ones make you return. It doesn't need to understand your entire personality. It only needs enough information to improve its prediction. And the prediction improves through feedback. Your behavior teaches the system. The system changes the environment. The changed environment influences your behavior. Your behavior teaches it again. It's a loop. And here's the part most people miss. The loop doesn't only affect what you see. It can affect what you notice. What you notice affects what you think about. What you think about affects what you remember. And what you remember can influence what you do next. That's why attention matters so much. Attention is the gateway. Before something influences your thinking, it usually has to get your attention first. And once something repeatedly captures your attention, it becomes familiar. Familiarity can feel like importance. Importance can lead to deeper engagement. And deeper engagement creates more signals. More signals create better personalization. And better personalization creates stronger engagement. The circle closes. But there's still one missing piece. The system may know what you click. It may know what you watch. But what happens when it begins responding to something even more powerful than your behavior? Your emotions. Your behavior leaves signals, but emotions can leave signals too. Think about the difference between information that makes you mildly interested and information that makes you angry, or excited, or afraid, or deeply curious. You remember the second one, because emotion changes attention. When something matters emotionally, your brain tends to prioritize it. That's why emotionally powerful information can be so difficult to ignore. And this creates another opportunity for personalization. Imagine two people seeing the same topic. One reacts with curiosity. The other reacts with anger. The system can observe that difference. Behavior reveals something. One person watches longer. One person clicks. One person comments. One person returns. Those behaviors become signals, and signals can become predictions. Now imagine the system gradually learning this type of content keeps this person engaged. Again, that doesn't mean someone is sitting behind a screen deliberately trying to manipulate you. The system may simply be optimizing. But emotion can make optimization more powerful, because emotional engagement tends to be stronger than passive attention. You don't simply see something, you react to it, you remember it, you think about it later, you talk about it, you return to it, and suddenly, one piece of content has generated multiple interactions. That's valuable information for a predictive system. But there's a deeper psychological effect. When something repeatedly triggers a particular emotional response, it can become part of your mental environment. You start expecting it, looking for it, returning to it, and that can create a new kind of loop. Emotion, attention, interaction, personalization. More emotional content, more attention, more interaction. The loop becomes stronger. This is why the most important question isn't, is AI manipulating me? It's, what does this system learn about what keeps me engaged? Because the answer could be different for everyone. For one person, it's curiosity. For another, it's validation. For someone else, it's outrage. For another, it's reassurance. And if AI becomes increasingly personalized, the system may become increasingly good at giving each person the experience they are most likely to continue. That sounds convenient, and sometimes it is, but convenience has a hidden cost. The easier it becomes to receive exactly what you want, the less often you may encounter what you need: a challenge, a disagreement, a different perspective, a moment of uncertainty. And those things can be uncomfortable, but discomfort can be useful, because sometimes the information that changes your mind is the information you would never choose for yourself. And that brings us to the most important question of this entire documentary. If AI becomes better at predicting your attention, your preferences, your emotions, and your behavior, how do you make sure you are still the one making the decisions? The answer isn't to fear AI, it's to understand yourself. Because the better AI becomes at predicting human psychology, the more valuable psychological awareness becomes. And in the final part, we're going to turn the system around. Instead of asking how AI can influence your brain, we're going to ask, how can you protect it? Your attention is the gateway. Before something can influence what you think, it usually has to get your attention first. And that's why attention has become one of the most valuable resources in the digital world. Every app wants it. Every platform wants it. Every notification competes for it. And increasingly, AI can help decide what gets placed in front of you. Imagine thousands of pieces of information moving through a giant digital city. Most information disappears before they even notice it. A few pieces become brighter. One captures their attention, they stop. The system records the response the next time. The system knows a little more, that's the attention loop. But here's what makes it powerful. You don't experience the millions of things you could have seen. You experience the small percentage that reaches your awareness. That means the battle isn't necessarily over what you believe, it's over what you notice. Because what you notice, you can think about. What you think about, you can remember. And what you remember can influence what you do next. This is why constant digital stimulation can become psychologically exhausting. Your brain is repeatedly being asked, look at this, read this, watch this, answer this, react to this. And AI can make those interruptions increasingly relevant to you. The more personalized they become, the harder they can be to ignore. But here's the important distinction. AI isn't literally taking control of your brain. Your brain is still making decisions. You still have agency. You can close the app, you can ignore the recommendation. You can question the answer, you can walk away. The danger is more subtle. When something becomes extremely good at predicting what you'll choose, you may stop noticing how much the environment is influencing the choice. The choice still feels like yours. But the options surrounding that choice have been carefully shaped. And that brings us to the most important question. If the environment around your attention is becoming more intelligent, how do you protect your attention? Because the answer isn't to run away from technology, it's to become harder to predict. And that starts with something surprisingly simple: awareness. Awareness sounds simple, but it changes everything. The first step is to notice the moment when technology is choosing for you. Before clicking, pause. Before accepting an answer, question it. Before asking another question, ask yourself why. Am I actually curious, or am I simply continuing because the interaction is effortless? That tiny pause creates something important. Distance. And distance gives you the ability to choose. The second defense is friction. If something is designed to make endless interaction effortless, adding a little friction can help. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Create periods without constant digital stimulation. Don't keep every app one tap away. Make stopping easier. Because sometimes you don't need more willpower. You need a better environment. The third defense is verification. When AI gives you an important answer, don't confuse fluency with truth. Ask, what is the evidence? Could this be wrong? What information is missing? Can I verify this somewhere else? The more important the decision, the more important verification becomes. The fourth defense is perspective. Don't only consume information that already agrees with you. Deliberately search for opposing views. Look for evidence that challenges your assumptions. Ask AI, what is the strongest argument against this? What would change my mind? What am I overlooking? Use AI to challenge your thinking, not just confirm it. And finally, protect some parts of your life from optimization. Not every moment needs to be personalized. Not every question needs an instant answer. Not every emotion needs to be analyzed by a machine. Sometimes you need boredom, silence, a walk, a conversation with another person, time without a screen. Because those moments give your brain something technology cannot replace. Space. Space to think. Space to wonder. Space to change your mind. And perhaps most importantly, space to notice what you actually want. Because if AI becomes better at predicting your behavior, your greatest advantage may be unpredictability, the ability to stop, reflect, question, and choose differently. But there's still one uncomfortable truth. Even if you become extremely careful, AI isn't the only thing influencing your mind. The deeper vulnerability was already there. Human psychology. The more we understand AI, the more interesting the human brain becomes, because almost every technique we've talked about existed before AI. Attention, persuasion, social influence, confirmation bias, reward, habit, authority, emotion. AI didn't invent these weaknesses, it learned how to interact with them. That's the real revelation. The machine isn't creating human psychology, it's learning from it. And the better the technology becomes, the more precisely it can respond to patterns that have existed inside us for thousands of years. We want to know things, we want to belong, we want reassurance, we want certainty. We want to feel understood. We want information that makes sense of a complicated world. Those aren't weaknesses, they're human needs. But every human need creates an opportunity for influence. And that's why the future of AI isn't simply a technology story, it's a psychology story. The question isn't, will AI become intelligent? It already has extraordinary capabilities. The more important question is, what happens when intelligent technology becomes deeply personalized to human psychology? Imagine a system that knows which topics capture your attention, which explanations reassure you, which language makes you curious, which arguments make you defensive, which emotions keep you engaged, which answers make you return. That would not require mind reading. It would require prediction. And prediction can be powerful. But here's the part that should actually make you feel hopeful. Prediction is not destiny. Knowing what you're likely to do doesn't guarantee what you will do. That's where human agency matters. A prediction says, this person will probably choose this. A decision says, I know what I'm likely to choose, and I'm choosing something else. That tiny difference is enormous. Because the moment you become aware of your own patterns, those patterns become easier to question. You can notice when you're seeking validation. You can notice when you're avoiding uncertainty. You can notice when you're accepting an answer because it sounds confident. You can notice when you're scrolling because you're bored. And once you notice, you can choose. That's why the most important skill in the age of AI may not be knowing how to use AI. It may be knowing when not to. And that leads to the final question. After everything we've learned, who is actually in control? The answer isn't as simple as AI or humans. because the relationship between the two is becoming more complicated every day. AI learns from human behavior. Humans adapt to AI. AI predicts our choices. We respond to those predictions. And the cycle continues. But there is one thing the system cannot completely replace: your ability to stop, to question, to change your mind, to say no, not because technology is evil, not because AI is secretly controlling everyone, but because your attention is yours. Your curiosity is yours, your judgment is yours, and your decisions are still yours. AI may become better at understanding our patterns. It may become better at predicting what we'll do. It may become better at creating experiences that feel almost perfectly designed for us. But prediction isn't control, influence isn't destiny, and convenience isn't the same thing as freedom. The real danger isn't that AI will suddenly take over your brain. The real danger is that you stop paying attention to how your own brain works. So use AI, learn from it, question it, let it challenge you, but don't give it your judgment. Because the smarter AI becomes at predicting the human mind, the more important it becomes to understand your own. AI doesn't need to control your brain, it only needs your attention.